I've had the unique opportunity and real privilege to help oversee a process of faith walking coming into a local church. And so, over the last 2.5 years, we've just welcomed the faith walking journey and transformation process into our church. And it's really been an incredible journey for us. And we started noticing years ago that although we loved the people in our church, they were great church people. Don't get me wrong. They'd read their Bible, they would come to church, they would pray. They would do a lot of the things that you want them to do if you're leading and pastoring a church. But one of the things that we noticed over and over again was that there were parts of their own lives, sort of in their own personal transformation, especially in their character, that they were stuck. And that things just kept repeating themselves. Patterns in their marriage, patterns in the way that they spent their time, patterns in the way that they related to people when they got upset or they got anxious. Those things didn't seem to change year in and year out. And as we began to sort of see these things and wonder about these things, there was a book called The Leader's Journey that we came across. And as we read it, it amplified our wondering and our asking questions. And we began to put our finger on and realize that in our discipleship wheel and the way that we were seeing people formed and transformed into the image of Jesus, there was a piece of that discipleship wheel that was really lacking, that we weren't doing a great job as a church addressing their emotional health, their emotional maturity. We didn't have a lot of tools and a lot of ways to talk about that. And it was during that time that we were introduced to the faith walking process. And it really began to change so much in the life of our church. And so what we decided to do, some of the pastors of the church, we just figured, you can't lead people to where you're not willing to go. And so we went through the process and it began to have a dramatic impact on us. And so immediately we invited the rest of our staff in, and then we started to invite core leaders in the life of our church in. And then that's just continued to bleed into our churches over the last couple years, to the point that now we've had over 250 people go through the faith walking journey, the process together. And it really has been an incredible journey for us. The thing that I would say that it's really done for us is it gave us language that then helped shape culture. So language and culture, along with having shared similar experiences. As you walk through the process and you have to do really hard things and you have to wonder and have a mirror held up to you and you have to share with one another what's going on, those experiences began to shape culture that has dramatically changed in the life of our church. And we've seen so much fruit born. A huge part of the reason that we decided to really embrace the process was we bought wholeheartedly into the core idea that all spiritual formation ultimately is for the sake of mission. We said, we believe it's true that if people can get freed up on the inside, if they're not driven by fear, if they're not driven by anxiety, if they're not always trying to defend themselves, or they're walking in really poor or just bad patterns of relating with key people in their lives, that if they weren't managing all that, they actually might have more bandwidth and more freedom to engage and to see what the Spirit of God was doing around them and to join Him. And we have seen so much evidence of that happening. A couple things that we've seen over and over is marriages getting radically changed. I can't tell you the number of marriages where we just have couples go, we relate together entirely different. We hear each other now, we can listen. Our ability to be authentic and to share what's so for us has gone through the roof. We've gotten into action with things we were stuck on before that could never change. So we've seen tremendous fruit in our marriages. And then we've seen a ton of people step into more of what God is calling them to in terms of mission. And that has been so exciting. Just this last week, I talked to a guy who went through the entire faith walking process, and he said he had always had this longing in his heart to help sort of the down and outers, to help people that society had just really forgotten about. But life was so busy, and he had kids, and he had a business to run, and it's just one of those kind of pie in the sky, nice things to think about. But after coming out of the faith walking process, he said, what? I believe that Jesus is asking me really to take a step in this direction, and I want to be obedient. I want to be radically obedient. And so over the last year, he's leaned in to begin to help men who are coming out of prison find places to stay and to get jobs. And he started a blog and has started interviewing people, talking to them, creating awareness about the struggles and the issues and the holes there are in the current system, trying to work on issues of justice and also mercy and helping these men. And that was just this last week. There's not a week that goes by that someone doesn't tell me a story about the way that they've just gotten into action around something that the Lord has invited them into because they've been freed up, because from the inside out, things have been changed for them. And so as a group of churches, we couldn't be more grateful to be engaged in the faith walking process, to have partnership with those who have created the materials and the content. And we are so very grateful. And we look forward to the coming days and all that God will do in using that in our lives and in changing our city because of it.